Thomas with Houston Paint Protection, here with this 2026 Tesla Model Y, and we're ready to kick off another big project. The owner of this vehicle actually wants to completely change the look, so what we're going to be doing is transitioning this vehicle from this deep glossy black finish over to a sleek satin matte finish. So we're going to cover the entire exterior with a matte paint protection film, which will provide protection against things like rock chips, minor dings, scratch marks, staining on the paint, all of those types of things, but also give it the matte look that the owner is looking for. Before we get started, we do need to prep the vehicle to make sure that it's clean and decontaminated enough for us to actually work on. So let's get it in the wash bay and get started. With the Model Y in the wash bay, we're ready to get started with our thorough prep process. This portion of the job is arguably the most important because even though this vehicle is brand new, it's still very dirty and it needs to be cleaned properly. We want to focus on cleaning out all of the cracks and crevices around the vehicle, all of the deep recessed areas, any part of the vehicle that can hold a lot of dust or other debris that would otherwise leak out and get underneath the paint protection film during the installation. This is a long-term product, so we don't want any of that contamination living under the film for the duration of the install. We also want to be extra mindful of all of the edges on the perimeter of the panels and all of the jam areas inside of the panels where we're going to be wrapping and setting film edges. On these brand new vehicles, there's usually a lot of grease and grime hidden in these areas, especially along the lower portions. That usually comes from road grime, from driving it down here to the shop, and more importantly, from the tire dressing that a lot of these new vehicles come with that gets slung down the side. So all of the contamination and residues that are present that will otherwise affect the durability and aesthetics of our install, those are the things we're looking to address by thoroughly prepping the vehicle. Now that we've got the Model Y prepped and in the back of the shop, we're almost ready to start the install. However, we need to take care of two more things. The first one is going to be disassembly. So anytime we're doing full car PPF, especially if we're converting it over to a matte finish, we want to make sure to try and remove any pieces from the vehicle that are easily removed without causing any problems. The reason why we do this is it allows us to tuck the film deeper into recessed areas or behind pieces to hide film lines, edges, and create bigger wraps behind panels, overall providing a more discreet install. Typically, we're looking for things that are easy to remove, so on the Model Ys, it's pretty standard. We'll take off things like these plastic fender flares, the trim that goes around all of the glass, the badging on the rear, and then on this Model Y, we'll also take off the deck pieces on the rear hatch. That way we can do it in one piece and there won't be a seam in the film right on the focal point of the rear end. This isn't something we do arbitrarily. It's always to make sure it adds to the finished product. If it's too risky to remove the pieces, or if it doesn't contribute to a more discreet install on the back end, then we just leave them as is and we continue moving forward with the installation. The second thing that we need to do before we start is going to be prepping the patterns and cutting the film itself. So once we have the disassembly complete and we can take a look at what the vehicle is actually going to look like when it's ready for install, we can go through it and create the patterns. We do have a software that has patterns, base patterns that have a pretty good amount of coverage, and they do have some wraps present, but it's not quite to our standard. So we'll go across the entire vehicle and take a look at how it's assembled and extend the edges, blow the patterns out, add material, do whatever we need to do to get very thorough coverage with, again, a very hidden install. Once all of that is complete, we cut the film and we're ready to go. So we'll knock that out and then we'll jump straight into installation. We've laid all of the paint protection film on the Model Y. As you can see, it's fully matted out, and we've also taken care of all of the gloss accent pieces and the gloss pieces that go over the lights. At this stage in the game, we're kind of on the back end of the install, getting ready to button everything up for the ceramic coating. So most of it has been reassembled. You can see the cameras are back in, fender flares and other trim pieces. We just need to place some final pieces and then we're done with the reassembly. And then during this time, we're also going to be doing what we call our finish work. So this is where we're gonna go along all the edges, the perimeter of every single panel. If there's an exposed edge, we want to make sure that it's placed properly, that it looks good. We need to make sure all of the wraps into the jam areas are laid down and they're solid for the long term. And then we will also do all of our fine trimming. So this is where we're going through and cleaning up corners, edges, wraps, anywhere where the film ends, we're gonna double check and make sure everything is seated. If there's any extra material, we'll trim it off. We're also gonna double check for bubbles and in general, just the fit and finish overall. So during the finish work phase, we will also do heat sealing. So when you lay the paint protection film, it's a wet install. All of that moisture stays trapped in the film, especially on the edges. Once we finish the install, it will slowly evaporate and lift these edges. So we're gonna come back with our heat guns, set everything down, lock it in, make sure that glue is holding tight for the long term, and then it's good to go. With all of the finish work and reassembly complete, we're ready to jump into the ceramic coating. The ceramic coating will cover the full exterior. So we cover all of the paint protection film, you get a glass coating on the windshield, and then we do all of the trim and plastics to prevent them from fading over time. We'll also cover the wheels, lights, and any other auxiliary pieces. We include a ceramic coating with all of our full car packages, including matte, simply because with this amount of paint protection film coverage, that additional layer of coating will just help with general cleanliness, maintenance, and overall keeping the car looking good for a long period of time. Now that we're finished with the ceramic coating, the Model Y is complete. It's got the full car matte paint protection film, gloss film over all of the lights and accents, and then the ceramic coating over the full exterior. We're gonna walk you through the exterior, show you some detailed shots of the finish work and some general final shots so you can see what it looks like. If this is a service that you're interested in, either gloss or matte paint protection film, please feel free to reach out to us anytime at HoustonPaintProtection.com or stop by the shop and we'll be happy to help you out.